Urushi, Japanese lacquer, Chinese lacquer, Asian lacquer. Right now, for most of you, it's easy to connect it with art, some kind of expression, some kind of improving, visually improving of the objects. But through thousands of years of history, it was mostly used for practical reasons. It was used to fix the tips of the arrows and other items to the wooden shafts. It was used to make samurai armor. It was used to make kitchen and table utensils more durable. They could even last ages. You do not need a lot to improve any wooden object you use in the kitchen. You can improve its looks, you can improve its hygiene and durability, especially. I use it extensively in my kitchen for many years, and as most of you who do some cooking, I use spatulas, I use spoons, I use bread knives, chopsticks, some different kinds of plates and bowls, serving boards like this one here, and some other tools like this pillar with a wooden handle. It's probably the best entry point to Urushi world for anyone interested in it, because technically you just need one type of Urushi and no special tools or materials. Anything you need can be bought in locally, almost any place in the world. You just need some turpentine and a brush and a cotton rag or paper to wipe. I will show you today what I used Urushi to cover with, and I will tell you how it improves the behavior of such items. But I will also use the opportunity that I'm servicing them right now to show you the maintenance process, because they can be very durable, but to increase this durability even further, you have to employ some maintenance steps from time to time. For example, most of my spatulas do suffer from abrasion in this area, and another problem is that I strike the lid or strike the spatula on the pan or on the pot, but it makes some dents, and I want to get rid of them from time to time and to make sure that the wood is not exposed. I have items here made of many different types of wood. Most of the spatulas I use and most of the spoons like this used by me in the kitchen are the cheapest stuff you can buy in any supermarket. I buy it here locally, you can buy it in IKEA, on Amazon, and this spatula, for example, is less than €1. You can probably buy 10 for 8 or 9 euros, more or less the same in dollars. Some are a little more expensive. These are handmade spoons made of olive wood, very difficult wood to lacquer. But it's possible. This is another one made of wood. This one is new, never used before, and this one was used in my kitchen for several months or maybe even a year. Sometimes I reinforce the tools with silk wrap. This handle here is wrapped in silk cord, and it protects the handle, but also makes it technically indestructible in normal use in the kitchen. Same with this spoon here. I have a few things to be done today. I will do some maintenance on the spatulas. I will just apply another layer of lacquer. I will show you how to deal with some more severe problems like this one here. You can see the chip is the wood frayed, and the chip is much deeper. I think it could be a good entry point to convince you that it makes sense to start your Urushi journey with Fuki-Urushi on wood used in your kitchen. In the next video, probably in next 2 or 3 weeks, I will show you how to make a spatula from scratch and how to lacquer it from scratch. So I will use raw spatulas. So those are the cheapest one I could find. I don't even know what kind of wood is that. And these are like €1 spatula, and these are premium. They were like €3 each, different shape and slightly better finished. And I will lacquer them all on, and I will show you all the stages of preparing them for use in the kitchen, or making something which looks really, really nice and can be even gifted to someone as a nice entry-level urushi object. Okay, let's do it. With all the maintenance, you have to start with inspection. Just check what areas suffered the most in the kitchen. Sometimes during use it gets a little dull. Some areas can be exposed by this striking I told you about, and some can be abraded a little too much. I should have redo this spatula earlier, but it's a good opportunity to show you how to deal with a bigger problem. But the most general idea with Fuki-Urushi intensively used, and where urushi abrades and some wood can be exposed or it becomes more porous, is just to apply another layer. As the tools are used in the kitchen, they must be cleaned first in the kitchen really, really well. So just a typical kitchen detergent and a lot of water. Do not soak them too long, just clean them normally. Make sure that they are really clean, then dry them. Then wipe them with isopropyl alcohol. I use isopropyl alcohol for cleaning and wiping extensively in my studio. So isopropyl alcohol. And once they dry, you start preparing them for urushi. The preparation is generally sanding. I use foam-backed sandpaper. Typically for maintenance it's 600, sometimes for more problematic areas 400 grit. And for some objects I use 800 or even 1000 if the urushi layer is nice and I do not want to abrade it anymore, and I just want to have another layer to extend the lifetime of the object. I will show you the B-roll for the sanding, but what are the benefits of urushi? The items covered with urushi are sealed, so the wood is sealed. It does not soak, the water does not soak in. Urushi itself, once cured, is antimicrobial, so it's antifungal, antibacterial and antiviral. It has such properties. So even, for example, containers made of urushi can extend the shelf life of things stored in them. We use urushi bowls for fruit. Urushi is resistant to acids and alkali, so whatever you do in your kitchen, is it something very acidic, it improves the behavior of the wood. And they look better. And they last much, much, much longer. Typically, untreated spatula, like basic spatula from the supermarket, even covered with some oil dedicated for food items, it will last me in my intense, I cook every day. In my intense use, it will last me a few months. Urushi covered spatula will last me years. Like literally years. I have never thrown away any spatula I have ever made, so the oldest ones can be like 7-8 years old, something like that. Okay, so once we have them clean and they are wiped with isopropyl alcohol to remove the oil, we get into the sanding, and after sanding I wipe them with isopropyl alcohol again, because while sanding you can release some oils which can be in the pores or in some more porous areas. You can release them on the surface, and it's a good idea to wipe them again. So I will show you on one of the examples here. It's just a wipe because they are smooth. The good thing about isopropyl alcohol is that it dries the surface too. So if there is some residual moisture, it draws it out, and alcohol itself evaporates like extremely quickly. So once we have this, we can apply a layer of urushi. There are a few possible approaches. If the item is in very good state, so there are no abrasion down to bare wood, and we just want to improve the layer of urushi, we can use undiluted raw urushi for this job and just apply one layer, put it in the furo, that's it. If the item is more used and we have exposed wood and some porous areas, we need to stabilize it first, so we will use diluted urushi. For extreme situations like this one, so this chip at the edge here, I will use urushi glue and a filler. So I will use rice glue, so made with glutinous rice, mixed with urushi and with some diatomaceous earth just to fill this area. Before this video, like 2 days ago, I sealed it slightly with diluted urushi just to show the process here, but I will show the process of sealing on this spatula. You can apply urushi with a tampon made of some lint-free fabric filled with cotton or another type of fabric. You can apply it with Japanese Hake, or you can apply it with any brush you have. You apply the lacquer on the surface and then you wipe it off. In some cases, I prefer the tampons because I can work it better into the surface, but if I have not even surface, porous and with some grooves or something like this, I prefer the brush. Let's start with diluting some urushi. Not a lot. I do not filter it because, as I said, I will wipe it off anyway. This urushi is pretty cool in terms of lumps, so there are no lumps, no contaminations inside, so I do not filter it. I dilute it with turpentine. And you might be surprised because I almost never wear gloves, but in this case I will put the gloves on. Why? Because you handle the object you're lacquering directly. You can avoid it, you can create some holders, but it's not really so important in case of Fuki-Urushi. So I can hold it with my hand, and it's not for, in my case, I'm not sensitive to urushi, but for most of you I advise to use gloves every time you handle urushi. For me it's more for protection of the skin from getting dirty and dark for a very long time. Spatula is cleaned, is degreased, it's sanded with 600 grit sandpaper. I showed you the sandpaper backed with foam, and now I will apply urushi. What is important with even diluted urushi is to work it in. So you just don't paint the surface, but you make sure the urushi penetrates whatever is to be penetrated. Make sure you cover the edges. Put attention to areas which are normally exposed to intense abrasion, so the scraping part, this edge of the spatula, make sure the urushi penetrates it really, really well. That's it. Now I put it aside for a few minutes. I let the Urushi to infuse any area that could be exposed, and I will lacquer something else using Diluted Urushi. This is the spoon which is made of olive wood, and olive wood is oily, and it takes quite some time to prepare olive wood item for Urushi, and it's best to use not freshly made items, and if you have someone who makes them, make sure that they do not use any oil to protect the surface after shaping, after carving the spoon or the spatula or anything you are going to lacquer. Same applies to some other exotic woods, for example teak can be problematic, and I usually choose the white teak, the more bright pieces of teak for my kitchen. For example, this board I showed you, the serving board, is made of teak, and it's very, very bright. But once lacquered, it became very dark. You can influence how dark the items become after lacquering, but this is a topic for the next video on starting Fuki-Urushi on kitchen items from scratch. Okay, so we have 2 items waiting, and in the meantime I can prepare the filler for the part I showed you of the broken tip. A little bit of urushi, some rice glue, mix it together. And to make the filler, I will add Diatomaceous earth. It's another thing you can easily buy locally. You do not need to buy Jinoko or Tonoko from Japan. You can use uncalcinated Diatomaceous earth. It's available in garden shops, in some specialists cooking shops, and it's used for filtering, so you can look for Diatomaceous earth, fine grade uncalcinated Diatomaceous earth. Calcinated can be used, so heated can be used too, but not for this purpose, because we need something which will create very strong bond with the wood. Now I will apply it with the brush, because I wanted to penetrate this part really well. So I will try to first to push into this crack as deep as possible. It's sealed with urushi, so it's already stabilized a little bit, but this will stabilize it further. You can use your finger to smooth it. We will be sanding it later anyway. I will not show you the sanding on this video because I need to cure it first. It will take a few days for sure. But after it's cured, I will sand it and follow with exactly the same procedure as all the other items I'm showing you today. You can use exactly the same mixture I showed you here to feel the surface of the item which is especially exposed, even if it's not destroyed too much. You can feel the internal and external part of the spoon, just this area here, to fill all the pores in the wood on both sides. And later, when it's cured, again sanding and a few layers of Fuki-Urushi. Okay, let's get back to the items I lacquered a few minutes ago. The best thing to wipe the lacquered pieces is this type of paper, so waste paper. This is Japanese one, but you can find something which is not very, it's not very weak, does not weak moisture too much. It must be crumpled. The goal is not to remove completely the urushi from the surface, but just to make the layer thinner and more uniform. We need some urushi to stay on the surface and to work its magic. That's it. Now I will put all these lacquered objects into the Furo. I will lacquer all the rest a little bit later. And the humidity is not so very important like in many other techniques, because you can use anything from 70 to 85% of humidity, and it will not influence a lot the quality of the layer. But the higher humidity, the darker urushi can get, and it's the only difference. For items I use in the kitchen, it does not matter too much. If the item you are lacquering or doing maintenance lacquering has some metal parts or some other parts which you do not want to get lacquer on, it's obviously easy. Just apply some masking tape on the metal parts and treat it as any other object. That's it. Next video, I hope I will finish shooting it because it takes a few days very soon, and I will post it in next 2 weeks probably. I will show you how to make the spatula from raw wood to finished high quality Fuki-Urushi spatula for your kitchen or for a gift for someone you like. Your guests of Tamenuri Studio, I'm Michael. Thank you and see you again soon.